Dad said he'd race us to the shoreline on the count of 3. 1, 2. Dad took off running, his big laugh cracking the sky. We pounded the sand, feeling it slide between our toes, and swallowed the salt of the air in hurried breaths. Dad turned around and stood at the edge of everything, with his arms wide like wings, and we hurled ourselves against him. Scooping us up, he went running into the waves where sand and dreams were serenades. Touching the soles of our feet to the looking glass, the salt crept up the hems of our jeans. Then he let go. My toes touched down onto the ocean floor with each gentle swell. I watched Brandon splashing around, doing his best dog paddle. Dad had disappeared under the wall of green, and I felt around in the black weeds of the sea for his soaking bones. Then I looked past the water, and Dad was kneeling at the rim of the shore, threading water through his long hair. I let the tide carry me to him kneeling in the sand. He looked lighter, like a great weight had been lifted from his shoulders. I brought my palms up to his face and flattened them against his wet cheeks. He covered my hands with his, and I wanted to cry, because for a breath, we'd fallen into an accidental moment of joy. Dad cupped the cool Pacific in his giant cracked hands and flung the sea onto my face. It smelled like the pulp of the ocean, and the salt stained my cheeks. Dad laughed, and it was carried off into the blue where the wind never sleeps. I reached after it, but it frayed in my tiny fingers. Brandon was still a bobbing head among the waves, his thick, wet hair the color of cinnamon sticking out every which way like he was a ball of static. The day was already starting to blue when Dad called him out to meet us on the brim, where the lonely shells scattered up and down the coast. I watched Brandon wallow out from the neck-deep green. He sniffled and coughed the sea into his shriveled hands. Dad handed me a rotting piece of wood he found half sticking out of the wet earth. "Here, write something to your mom," he said. I dripped salt and shivered in the blue evening as I held the spongy bark in my hand. I scrawled "I love you" with hearts for O's and listened to the whisper of the sand against the words. Brandon wrote, "Hi, Mom," and waved to the camera. Snap. Dad clicked the shutter and sent our love to the stars like the universe was listening. Stretching his arms up like night birds against the failed light of the moon, Dad tossed the branch back into the ocean. The violent pulse of the sea made a mock of our hearts. I swear we once were starry-eyed, but the afternoon turned to black, erasing the line between the sky and the sea, and I forgot where I was. A darkness bleeding into a greater darkness. I scanned the wind-swept coast, searching for hope, but all I found was desperation. I stumbled into whatever the universe had left to give, but the shoreline was just the edge of my sorrow. In and out and back again, the sea crawled over the love I'd written in the sand, and flowed back out, devouring the words, wiping the earth clean of her. The crashing of the water intertwined with the flickering drum in my chest as I watched the long silhouettes of Dad and Brandon dissolve into the dark.